everyone. Thank you for joining us here despite everything that goes on in the world. We're so incredibly honored to have Helen Hill with us today. And I think, Helen, if you're ready, we'll get started. And then as people trickle in, I'll just admit them and we'll keep the ball rolling.
But yeah, so today I'm going to be talking to you about unleashing the real you, because this is something that I'm very passionate about. So I would just see if can I share my screen? I have to put it on thingy first, don't I? This is where I always forget to put it on presentation mode, Helen. There we go. And you need to see that one, hopefully. Can you see my presentation? Yeah, fab. Great stuff. So for those that don't know me, I do know a couple of you actually, but I am Helen Hill, and I'm a bit of the best way I can describe myself these days is a bit of a multi-hyphen person. I don't like using the term entrepreneur. I don't think I am one, but I'm a multi-hyphen business owner. I have my fingers in everything, and I have a learning and content design business called Unlikely Genius. I have Falling Off the Ladder, which is the sort of spin-off of my book, which has now also become my business coaching business. And then I've got Be the Future, which is an environmental initiative. So that is me with, in fact, there's only one of them on there, but my little grumpy bunny there, Tiffin. So I am living in West Yorkshire in the UK with my partner, Graham, and two very little grumpy divas, Tiffin and Strudel. But they're my babies and my business and my babies. So a bit of a background, first of all, as to why this topic's important to me. So 4 years ago was when I launched myself into full-time self-employment with a bit of reckless abandon, kind of felt there was no other way. I'd had a very rough time in employment, not just in one company. I'd worked in education as a lecturer and really struggled there, and had, and that was when I was diagnosed with MS and was basically told, well, you won't be able to do this job much longer, by my line manager, and was then pushed out over the course of 18 months. And I changed careers, ended up working in e-learning, and again had a very difficult time because it's an invisible illness. Nobody seemed to understand it, and I ended up in the depths of depression, anxiety, panic attacks, all that kind of thing. And I was actually told in that job, you should not be yourself. You should never be you. You need to be someone else if you want to succeed, especially in this company and in this industry. You need to become this certain other person that was a darling of the company, and at every turn think, what would she do? How would she talk? What would she do with this job? So I very much lost my sense of identity. And that was contributing obviously to the depression, the panic attacks. And every time I did something, even if I did put myself in that woman's mindset, I did wrong. So I got to the point where I just thought, I've got to quit for the sake of my sanity, and threw myself into self-employment and turned what was my fledgling little business, where I just designed bits of logos and things on the side, Unlikely Genius, into my full-time business. So the massive change happened there within my first year, where I had to just basically pick myself up and work out from scratch who I was. So obviously now we're just coming up to 4 years, and I've now got the 3 businesses. I'm much more confident. I consider myself to be successful, and you know, I'm regularly told that people love working with me and that I'm an inspiration, and that's all because of me being myself. So that was a big turning point for me, and I just hope that other people can kind of get to the same point. So why is it not moving on? Just a second. So if anyone has a thought for this, if there's something that you feel holds you back from being yourself in your sort of business, really interested to see what you think that is. And I'm just going to take my AirPods out because they seem to have decided they're going to die, even though I've only had them on 5 minutes. So let's get rid of those. Yeah, so just pop in the chat if you do think there's something that holds you back. What I've found from talking to other freelancers and other business owners is there's a few key things. And these are the key points that I've pulled out from when I have those conversations. So it's not professional. People always say it's not professional if you're yourself. You've got to be this corporate front, this robot. What if they don't like me? That is a huge insecurity of, but if I'm myself, what if they reject me? It's safer to put on a front as a result. It means that they will keep giving you work. There's this real fear of, but if I'm myself, then the clients might go away. I might not fit in with the company, with the individuals, with the industry. I can be me later after I've got to know them. That's quite a common thing as well. People always seem to think, oh, there's this magic hurdle I've just got to get over, or this time frame, and then I can let them know the real me. It's not expected. You know, we kind of try and second guess what clients and people might want. They'll want a different kind of person, not me, someone, I don't know, with more experience, more confident, more outgoing, more whatever it might be. We make those excuses to ourselves. And the one that we don't often voice is it feels too vulnerable. And finally, like I say at the bottom, there is always that thing, I think, especially with those ladies, of I'm not pretty, skinny, fun, kind, successful enough. I, you know, maybe in another year or two, I will feel better about this. But these are all fears that I have heard other business owners talk to me about. And you're not alone if you feel like this. This is part of business life, but it can hugely affect the way that you run your business and the way you conduct yourself. And it is vulnerable to put yourself out there, but because it feels more personal, you know, if people have an issue with you, you kind of can take that on board a little bit more. And at the end of the day, we're people pleasers. We want to do the best for our clients. And like I say, we're trying to second guess what they want instead of necessarily finding out or having the conversation or being just brave to kind of experiment with it. So that's where I got to. I think I believed all of that. And people had told me that in some instances. So that has been a big hurdle to get over. I felt broken. I felt like I was not good enough. I believed them when they said I would never succeed if I was me. And well, I must say it's quite nice to have proved them wrong and to see them check my LinkedIn profile sometimes and things and just think, yeah, there we go. Stick that in your pipe. But yeah, so there are various reasons why you should and can be yourself. And I just want to give you a brief intro into this before we go on to the kind of how we can do that. So as I say, a lot of it is internal. We listen to those monkey minds and internalize a lot of these thoughts. It's not often that it's because of something someone has outright said, but that can be the case. But this conversation needs to change. So the workplace has changed. We've seen it a hell of a lot in the last like 2 or 3 years, where actually companies are realizing that we have families, we have people that we have to look after during the day, whether that's children, elderly relatives, that we need flexibility in our day and stuff. And we've also seen elements of people's life creep into the business in a good way. You know, like I said, they're trying to now, in most cases, be more flexible about this. And the companies that are trying to go back to how it used to be are finding they're not keeping the staff. They're going on saying, well, you know what, I can now work anywhere in the world. I don't have to work for a company within an hour that I can commute to. I can work for companies everywhere. So they are losing good staff. And hopefully this will open up the opportunity for people to feel more confident in themselves, their skills, and putting themselves out there. But these are some key things that are benefits to you being yourself. So one is that you find your people. So as cliche as that can sound, I never felt like I belonged until I found the freelance world. And that has been a game changer for me. I have made more friends, and they are proper friends. They are people I meet up with now. They're people I talk to every day in the freelance world than I think, and I mean true friends, than I ever had, I think, through school and university and stuff. I always had a problem with the groups I was in. I always felt like I was kind of a backup plan. And I found an amazing community, and they have supported me through horrendous times in the last year with losing my dad, this last few weeks with not being well. The amount of them that have reached out, offered help, support, to help me with work, to do whatever they could, they're there. So being yourself will help you bring those connections in. It will attract people to you that you need in your world, especially as a business owner. Second of all, it will help you take back your power. So I've referred to this briefly with, people from my past now seeing me, but it is no one's role in this world to dull your personality. Nobody has that right. And the problem is that we often give that away. We give that power away because of lack of confidence, because of lack of assertiveness, because we, are so used to giving other people the power over our careers and our progression and things like that. But when you change your personality according to what someone else is telling you they want, you're giving them your power. And they will keep asking for more. And that's the sliding slope that you will then end up losing sort of the sense of yourself and what you actually want and who you are. So no one should turn down your light. Like I say, as cheesy as that sounds, I fully believe that. So thirdly, linked to that is your happiness. It is much better for your mental health when you can be yourself. I had to put on a front every day. And I mean, I already have fatigue because of MS and things, but that is an energy drain. You have to second guess every opinion, every sentence you make. You get paranoid, you get imposter syndrome, you get all those things that mentally drain you. It just, your cognition really slows down. So if you can just be yourself and relax, you have a lot more energy. And again, that is something that has just transformed things for me. And it will make you more content. You will get a bigger dopamine hit when you get great feedback because you've not got the imposter going, oh, but that's not really me, so I don't deserve it. It can help relieve some of that imposter syndrome. Fourthly, it will build trust, again, just because of connection, because you are being yourself, you're speaking in your voice, you are acting naturally, people trust you a lot more. So it's not just the connections in your network and other business owners, it is clients and things as well. And this old-fashioned view, which you still see a lot on LinkedIn, you know, of, oh, you've got to be corporate, how dare you bring personal life on here and stuff. That is not the world anymore. We talk in an office over a kettle boiling about personal life. Why can't we do it on social media? And, you know, we are more than work at the end of the day, or we should be. I feel like a bit of a hypocrite saying that at times, but we're all different. We're all odd. We're all weird. What one person thinks is weird is someone else's normal. So if we can embrace our differences, then we can really start to build the trust and find the people that should be in our network and that we want to work with, because that's the big thing as well. Who do you want to work with? Not just taking anyone on that comes your way. And all of that together helps to make you feel proud of who you are, to stand loud and proud, to celebrate your achievements, whether they're big or small. So this is something I tell all business owners to do, to celebrate every single win, big or small. Put it out there with just unabashed confidence, just, hey, look what I did. And you'll actually find that people celebrate with you. The odd person might try and tear you down, but you know what? It reflects on them, not you. So we need to make this normal to actually celebrate our achievements. And finally, and this is a big thing for me, I think, particularly because I do some mentoring with young girls, and I spent a full day with teenage girls yesterday, which was frankly terrifying with some of the stuff they came out with. But role modeling, to role model to our daughters, mums, aunties, uncles, brothers, cousins, colleagues, neighbours, whoever, that you can be yourself and you can be happy, you can be confident, you can be successful being yourself, is so important. Like I said, we had a whole session on social media yesterday with these 13-year-olds, and frankly, I was horrified by some of the stuff that was coming out and the stuff they deal with now. So if we can be a positive influence and teach them that life is not what you see in films like The Devil Wears Prada or Ugly Betty and things like that, where it's all backstabbing and bitching in the workplace, that's what we need to do. Let's bring them up to be kind, generous people. So that's my little sort of ranty thing about why you can and should be yourself. And if you're not convinced yet, there's just a few things I want to show you here, which I actually had to do some maths for this today. I'm hoping I wrote it down because I can't remember off the top of my head. So all of this is stuff that I've really embraced for the last 4 years. Obviously, it took about the first year to really find myself again and to find my voice. However, what if I told you that since I went self-employed and have been unashamedly myself, I have had 100% success rate in every interview I've had as a freelancer. So every contract that I've gone for and got an interview for, I have won. And this isn't 2 or 3. This is, hang on, I've written it down, 14 clients, which has turned into at least, I had to try and count, I lost count, 26 projects, because they've also referred me on to other people and because they've come back for more. So in just sort of, and given that my first contract was 10 months, actually, this is in sort of 3 years, 2 months pretty much that I've done this. Yeah, so 100% success rate on them, and they've passed me on to other people. The feedback from those interviews has regularly been that they enjoyed the interview with me because I was myself and I was relaxed, but I also knew what I was talking about. And because I was just myself. 2 of those interviews, because of what I've got on my LinkedIn profile, were people asking me about why I crochet blankets for rhinos. And, you know, that was just something, a little nugget that they've seen on my profile and gone, sorry, what? Like, and they've had to literally, like, one person stopped the start of the interview. This was only 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, to say, before we get into that, can I ask, is this actually for baby rhinos? Yes, it is. And she was just thrilled with that. And it was an element of personality that she didn't expect. It's led to conversations after. And, you know, so I was then talking about crocheting octopuses for preemie babies and stuff. But if I hadn't let that bit of my personality out, they wouldn't have asked me that. And those interviews would have started off a very different way. And I was told that as soon as they finished that interview a couple of weeks ago, they just went, we can work with her, because they just enjoyed it. So if you can get that passion, that enjoyment over in any way, I wouldn't have thought that was the one thing they picked out on my profile. Who needs, you know, awards, when they can see that? These can be things that can lead to conversations. I've got coaching clients before I've even actually launched my coaching. And this is just from word of mouth and from people seeing me on social media and coming to me saying, I've spoke to like 10 coaches already. They're so dry. They've got no personality. Can I work with you? Yes, absolutely. Let's do it. The other thing is that my audience tends to do a lot of my promotion for me now. So once you build these connections and you get trust and you get all these other things, they just sing your praises for you. And it is amazing. And honestly, there's some days where I'm like, I'm so glad, because, you know, like today, I have not been able to go on anything. I've just not had the time, and people are doing things for me. And it's just so lovely. And I do it for them reciprocally as well. So that's helps build up that community, and also unexpected opportunities. The amount of things that have come my way because people have seen my business name and they've wanted to know more. So particularly Unlikely Genius. Even things like my Be the Future project, that I've co-founded, is because literally someone saw my business name and went, what on earth is that? Looked at it and said, this is what I need. This is who I need. And that obviously is quite an unusual business name. It's part of my personality, and there's a backstory to it. She loved all that. You know, nearly 2 years in, we're well on with that project. So yeah, there's just a bit of a speech bubble there with some feedback from a recent webinar I did as well, a money mindset, all to do with my coaching. So just about the fact that I've got a bit of a different course delivery style. So let's get into the juicy stuff. How do we do it? So I've got, I think it's 7. Yeah, it is. I always end up in 7 tips. What we're going to do is cover a couple of them today, and then we're going to break off, and you're going to have your task to do over the next week, and we'll come back, look at how you've done with that next week, and then we'll cover the rest of them. So next week's a very practical base. This week's a really kind of things that you need to get thinking about. So first of all, always be yourself. You can be a hippo if you want, then always be a hippo. It's up to you. You can be anything you want. I would probably put sloth in there for me, or panda, but you know. So who are you is the first thing. And this might sound like, I know who I am. Like, you know, I'm Joe. I like football. I like going to I'm a web designer. I go to the pub with my mates, all that kind of stuff. We're looking deeper than that. So you have, before you can do anything and become yourself, you have to know who you are. And it's harder than you think, because so much stuff becomes ingrained, particularly, like I say, if you've come from a corporate world to freelancing, you know, you're told how to dress, how to work, when your allowed breaks, all that kind of thing. And it just, and even back from school, you know, it was all the same. You've lived by someone else's rules and expectations for a long time. So you kind of have to think, okay, but what part of that is me? What is someone else's? What do I want to set aside? Where can I let myself come through a bit more? Which are the bits that light me up? What do I enjoy doing? What do I hate doing? And can I outsource that? All of this is part of, you know, just you starting to unravel and understanding your habits, your preferences, your personality, all those things. I would never have expected 3 years ago that I would be running an environmental project, that I would be a business coach. In fact, it was even a year ago when my mentor said, oh, I can see you being a business coach in 5 years. I went, yeah, right, whatever, shut up. And look at me now. So now I'm doing the training and working with people every week. So it's incredible if you keep yourself open to things, what can come your way, but you've got to know what you like doing. And one of those things for me is discovering that I love talking to other freelancers, other business owners, and really helping them to kind of thrive. So you've got to reflect, and there's a couple of things here. How do you want to show up in the world? So if you can answer that, that's your first point. Second of all, how far are you from that vision right now? So what elements are you on with? And this isn't a like miracle fix overnight that everything's just going to change and you'll suddenly be that person. But how far are you right now? Where are you aligned and where are you not? And what do you need to confront and move on from? Is there anything that's blocking you? So again, this will come back to any ingrained beliefs, feelings, fears that you have that are going to hold you back from being yourself. So for me, it was being told that I should never be myself. And I had to experiment with that. I had to do it in small steps, and part of this will all form later, part 2 next week. But yeah, looking at what you might have to confront and what you might have to get past for that. It's amazing how many people hold on to things that might just be a little comment from a boss, a mum, a dad, a sister, anything that can actually hold you back a little bit. And what we want to start doing is reframing those thoughts. That's another thing we can come on to. But until you understand that, your message is going to be mixed up. You're not going to know what opportunities to take on board. So that's really important. And finally, as part of that, how much are you willing to share? As part of being authentic, you don't have to share everything. And again, this will be something we come on to because it's really important to establish your boundaries here. But there's this real thought sometimes that in being genuine, being authentic, being yourself, you have to tell every little thing about your life. And that's not true. You just have to know where your boundary sits. So it's about being true to yourself, to your beliefs, to your values, what energizes you and what ripples you want to create in the world, what transformation you can offer your customers. It's not about telling them every little detail down to like what you had for breakfast and what you're upset about today. Although, sometimes I do that, but it depends what mood I'm in. And admittedly, I didn't do it this way because I had no one to guide me at the time, but this is why I just want to kind of share this message that this is kind of where to start off from. I made mistakes. I didn't find my voice for a lot longer than I probably could have. I could have done it a lot quicker. And the second one I'm going to look at today, which is vital, permission. Again, something that people don't realize. Once you know who you want to be, you have to give yourself permission to be that person. And again, this is a really big thing with a lot of women, actually, always putting others first, always worrying about various things, but I've seen it increasingly in men as well. But this is about letting yourself show up how you want to, visually, with words, with the change you want to make, with the avenues you want to pursue, and identifying those little things in your head that say, oh, but you can't do that because whatever. Yes, I can. Quiet the voice and let's look at how you can move on. It's not about being the best at everything, which I have to remind myself. It's not about winning everything. I get very competitive. It's about being the best version of you and who you are. Sorry, my phone's going, but hopefully it won't start ringing. Don't get too hung up on how others are doing. They are showing up according to their fears, their beliefs, their doubts, their experience, their time, their beliefs, all those other things. And we get so caught up in, oh, but such and such is doing it this way, or they're charging that, or they're doing it that way, so I can't do that because it'll look like I'm copying. And, but if you can give yourself permission to be who you want to be, to experiment and get things wrong. We hate that as adults. We're so good at it as kids, and we lose it somewhere in early ages of primary, that you lose that ability to get things wrong, to try new things and either let them work, let them don't, or find new passions and avenues, to do things differently and go against advice, especially when it comes to influencers. Put 3 reels a day on that platform, put 5 posts a day on LinkedIn, and forget that. You do it your way and whatever's best for you. And finally, and this is the hardest of all, permission to have people not like you. So not everyone is going to love you when you are yourself. They're not going to love you if you're not yourself. And that is a key thing to remember. But also, not everyone likes everyone. So of course you're going to get some people, you're going to get the, you know, Karens on social media who want to moan about whatever, or the Jeff, I always call them Jeff because it was a Jeff that had a real beef with me one time, you know, who will come back with a comment and try and put you down, but you just say, thanks for your opinion, move on, leave them to it, block them if you want, whatever. If in doubt, I tag my friend Jo Watson because she is amazing with the slam downs at them. And so if it really gets to that point, I'll come on in, Jo, do your stuff. And she's amazing. And you can then just sit back and watch. You need popcorn. She'll go for ages until they get tired and beg her off somewhere. So you might find happy accidents if you just give yourself permission. You might find an unexpected client, an unexpected project, or a story that just evolves. So just really give yourself permission. And that I'm going to skip number 3 because I'll do that next week. So your task this week is to decide who you want to be. And I want you to give yourself permission right now to be that person. So I want you to just think what that looks like. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? And test it. So put yourself out there, being fully yourself. Give yourself permission to try it and see what happens, see what comes back. If you are already yourself, amazing. But what it is worth doing is sitting reflecting on this stuff as well. I have a continual process of checking whether I am still where I need to be. And funnily enough, I mean, I can change my mind within about 3 weeks on things. You know, the amount of hobbies and stuff I have going on. But yeah, really sit and check whether you're still in alignment, whether there is anything in your tone of voice you want to change. Are you putting your tone of voice out there properly in your language, in your conversation, how you speak? Because that can be a real driving point for connection. It's the key thing that's come back about the book, that people love the way I've written it conversationally, that when they read it, they can hear my voice in their head, the poor beggars. And, you know, that I really need to do an audiobook as a result, apparently, which not sure about that. But yeah, so really just try and have a look at your media and see if you're giving yourself permission to be yourself. And if not, start from scratch, introduce yourself to your audiences as you, fully celebrating who you are and the things that you love to do. So you've got this. So any questions about that, give me a shout. And my social media on the bottom, feel free to tag me in your posts and I can like comment and share them when you do put yourself out there. And, you know, if you want me to share, well, if you want me to share them, of course, I won't if not. And in fact, it's probably best you have my link tree there, just because that's got all my connections on it. And if you want a bit of an accountability session, Jill's already in there. I've created this week the Earn Your Biscuits accountability group for freelancers. So come on in. I'm launching it properly next Monday, but we're in there having a practice, earning our biscuit badges, because you're not just earning biscuits, you're earning badges as well as little rewards. And yeah, so like I say, freelance accountability space with a crumb of a difference, biscuit crumb, you know. But I've got all sorts going on my website and stuff. So keep checking that out. But like I say, in the meanwhile, just have my link tree. If you want to tag me on anything, do so. And I will happily celebrate you celebrating yourself, I think is the phrase there. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there we go. I feel like that was a whiz through, but let me find my audio. Are you there? Are you there?
Helen, I'm here.
Oh, you're there.
That was awesome. I'm still digesting. I was trying to take as many notes as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. So two quick questions before we wrap up. I'm gonna just barge right in and assume there's a Q&A here. So,
Yeah.
why not? I mean, you know. So you talked about testing your authentic self,
Yes.
right? It's a little daunting to do that on social in some ways, right?
Yeah.
So how can I do it, like, you know, in a small dose, you know? Like,
Yeah, funny enough, this is,
yeah, is that okay? Is, I mean, is that, is that a thing?
it's the first point in next week's session, actually. So yeah, we can touch on that now.
I've jumped
Yeah,
ahead.
Interestingly, about 2 years ago, I said, I will never do video. I will never do audio. I hate the sound of my voice. I hate the way I look. I was just like, no. And then a freelance friend said to me, oh, come and join this group. I was like, but it's a video course. Why would I do that? And basically, I joined it as a way to test the woman running it, going, you won't get me to do it. And within 3 weeks, she had me doing video because she gave a really safe place to practice, which was just a Facebook group with 12 women in it. She was running a beta program. We all hated video. We were all insecure. And it was like such a celebration when any of us actually did it. In fact, my first video was me with a massive fluffy rabbit hat on that I've got, peeking over the edge of my desk, holding up a sign saying I'm not ready yet, because I just didn't want to be on camera. And like I say, within 3 weeks, she had me at least coming on camera and speaking a few words. And that was because she provided a safe place with lots of encouragement and just gave us little tips to build on week by week to make you feel better about what you're doing. So all the things that she's taught me about how to look at the camera, how to stand, ring lights, all those things that just make you feel a little bit better on camera helps contribute to that. And now you can't shut me up on the damn things. So like having that place is really important. And that is something that I want to try and create with people. And that's why, even if you do it on your social media with the smallest reach or in a Facebook group that maybe you're in that's only got a few people in. In fact, I'd be quite happy if you want to set up a little channel somewhere just for people to come and post those practices in or say, tell me about this, do I come across okay? Because that was so important to me. And if you've got that, that is absolutely valuable. So even if you come in our Earn Your Biscuits channel, I can set up a separate little channel in that you could even just post a video or a post or whatever it is, a bit of text in there and practice in that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll actually just volunteer to do it right in the Teamwrkr Slack group.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just, we'll just set that up.
Yeah.
We'll take care of that later today and just be like, I guess we'll figure out some of the tactics around that. But
yeah,
certainly we can set up a channel to sort of have a safe space to do this authentic self practice. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. I just wanted to kind of think about baby steps, before running out and putting my, my authentic.
Yeah, I might have set you a big challenge there, but even
on TikTok,
so. Oh God, yeah, no, I'm not doing TikTok. Hell no. But even if it's just,
I don't know. You just said no, but I gotta feel it.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Give it a couple of weeks.
No, right? Yeah. So, all right. Thank you.
No.
Right, yeah.
I'd do myself an injury if nothing else, dancing around. But what was I going to say then? No, it's gone. Oh yeah, even if you just look at your profile on these social medias and see if that represents you as a starting point. Does it get the essence of you across? That's a really good place to start, actually, before you go in hammering posts anyway. Because so often as well, we forget to review those. Says me realizing I've not looked at mine for quite a while. So that is a good place to look and just think, does this really get the essence of me across and what I enjoy and what I like to do and my skills and all of those different things? Yeah. Was there anything else in there? Don't think there's any questions in the what's it.
I have one last one if no one else does.
Yeah.
These are great because you mentioned something earlier. I was taking these notes here. You can't see me taking notes on my iPad, like it's below my camera, so I'm hiding. But you mentioned LinkedIn and how that was decidedly not what you wanted or what, can you tell me more about that? And because I look at LinkedIn now and I'm like, this is just ridiculous. It's just a place of, I don't know. What do you want to say about that? Is it false? Is it false? Is it a corporate? It's like everybody, feel like you have to have a LinkedIn profile because, you just have to have a LinkedIn profile. I don't, and then they send me a bill for, I don't know, it's about almost $500 US a year now to have like the top,
Oh, I don't have that, right? I'm just
it's crazy. Like, why is anybody doing that? Like, I was like, wow, why am I still doing that? So I'm curious to hear about your thoughts on LinkedIn or other social media platforms that are just failing us and what it's a little bit selfish on my part because I'm like, what could we build? Like, what could we do? Like, I don't know. I'm just kind of an entrepreneur that way myself. So what do we do to fix that? You know?
Yeah, and I have such a love-hate relationship with social media, because there are times I absolutely love it and it's helped me build the communities and you know, really, like I say, find these friends, these business owners that I just connect with. However, there is a very toxic element to it for sure. And it's different on every platform. Instagram, it's very, you know, about your looks. LinkedIn, it's very much about, well, you're not professional. But to be honest, like I say, it's more a reflection of those people, honestly, when they make, most of the time when they're making these comments, because they don't, you know, they've not moved with the times as such. But what I would say on all of them is you've got to curate your feed. So whereas some people will only accept a connection request if they've got a message with them and all of that, I don't do that, because I just think you never know where a good connection is coming from. However, if I like accept someone and I get a sales message within 30 seconds, they're gone. If they haven't connected with me on some posts or something, and or to be honest, if they've got Bitcoin in their title, they're not getting accepted. You know, there's all those kind of rules I set myself that I'm just like, no. And I mean, you should see the increase on the pictures I'm getting on Instagram, which is just disgraceful. Some of the messages I'm getting from men, you don't know what they are, all claiming to be soldiers and stuff. But you know, you might be lonely, Chuck, but it's not what this is for. So like, yeah, I just think you've got to be really careful with who you accept, who you have in your network. And if someone makes you feel bad, either because you're comparing yourself to them, because they're saying stuff you don't agree with or whatever, just get rid of them, because they are never going to be someone that leads to you getting business from them. And I think if you can get just that nice network around you who will comment on your post, and it is a two-way thing, you've got to engage. It's not just about post and ghost or whatever they call it. You've got to respond to other comments and then post yours and make sure you reply to everyone on your post and things like that. And it is time consuming and it can become an obsession. Hands up, at the moment, I have not got the energy to deal with it. So my VA is posting stuff to Twitter for me. She's cracking away on that, and I will go on and respond to stuff. She's now starting to even do some visuals for me, which was a big control thing I had to let go of as a designer. I'm like, yeah, but she's doing it as of this week, you know, for Instagram and stuff like that as well. And again, she will schedule the post, but I will go on and interact, because it's just about, you've got to protect yourself as well, your mental health, your time, your energy, all of that. And I just don't put up with crap on there anymore. I just don't have the time or the energy for people. And I just think you can spot them a mile off. For a start, if they say, I'm sorry, but at the start of a sentence, yeah, there's no point engaging with them. it's things like that. And like I say, calling Joe, if anything. Yeah, I think you've got to give yourself a strategy and a set amount of time for these platforms, because otherwise they could take over your day. So I try to only go on once or twice a day to whichever platform. And it's not every platform every day. I've took the pressure off myself about the whole, you've got to post every day on LinkedIn. I'm sure it helps your algorithm, but you know what? 70% of my work comes through in LinkedIn, and people approaching me at the moment. And that's just because they're seeing the stuff I'm putting out is quality when I do, and I'm not putting posts up about what did you have for breakfast this morning, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. And sure, I posted about my rabbits. They're a part of my life and they've been on calls with me and everything. They're part of it. People love it, but I'm not just posting for the sake of it. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting a bit lost at the moment, of just for the sake of just this algorithm, but it doesn't do you any good at all, really. So I don't even know if that answered the question, but that's just my rambling brain going.
No, that's great. Yeah, no, I was wondering why. Yeah. You know, we have to spend so much time managing these platforms that were supposed to be so helpful to us. You know, it's kind of striking. You know, like,
yeah, okay. And like I didn't post anything on LinkedIn for about 2 weeks, but then I did put something on that was quite a vulnerable post, because I'm open to sharing about it. It was about my MS relapse at the moment, struggling to get any help with it. Hospital don't care. But I'm on a mission to try and help also increase awareness of things like MS. And when you put something like that out, it gets a lot of engagement, either because people are saying, I'm here, or because they're like, oh, I didn't know this, or, you know, so it's kind of that, although it's not related to my business as such, it kind of is, because I do want to help freelancers who have health issues as well. It's quality stuff that people at least read it and think, oh, I didn't know that about her, or that's really interesting, or, you know, you're not just going, I have been away, did anyone spot it? That's kind of pointless. So because people just go, no. So yeah, it's just all about, I'd like to say I had a proper strategy. I keep saying I'm going to do one, but even if I plan my content, I'm very much you know, like a write in the moment person. Like when something comes in my head, I've got to write it then. I'm not very good at planning and going, oh, I'll write about confidence in 3 weeks, because I might be feeling all right that week, or I might be feeling rubbish, I don't know. Or something else will have come along, or I want to rant about Boris instead or something, I don't know. But fingers crossed he's gone. Yeah, so I think you're just going to find the way that works for you, really, and stick with it, embrace it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think something that really stood out to me, Helen, is when you mentioned that this woman had put together a group of 12 people into a Facebook group. And that's intimate small group is what made it successful, right? I think so much of social media often plays itself off as a numbers game. Oh, are the numbers up? Are you do have it by the thousands? Otherwise it's not. And the reason why her workshop was so impactful for you and for these other participants who engaged in that is because it was a small group of people that you could learn to trust, right? And where you could have a sense of being yourself, joke around and be like, okay, well, if it blows up in my face, it's about 12 people less actually, because I'm one of them. So 11 people. And like that's the extent that it goes towards. Joe, I saw that you were nodding along to this. Were you part of this workshop, or have you just heard about it?
No, I was mostly nodding to a lot of things because it's like you're making so much sense, but particularly around the kind of the social media stuff and the trying things in small groups, being like, yeah, that's the way to start and try things, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, there was 12 of us in that group. We all completed the course, which is rare for a self-study course. We all now do video consistently. If you had thousands, you could have still only ended up with 12 people coming out of that, having completed it and regularly doing the thing. We've written her amazing testimonials. I still regularly engage with her. She's had health issues like I have. So, you know, we've been a support to each other, and hoping to actually get to go and see her soon. She lives in Wales, so she's not the closest. But yeah, it's, if you can find those little communities that are just that little bit of encouragement you need, it can be, that has changed my business doing that course, and I regularly tell her that because it was amazing. Yeah. So
That sounds incredible.
Oh, Patricia's had to go. That's fine. Yeah. Well,
thank you so much, Helen. We have an assignment for next week. So that's good. Thank you, Helen. This is awesome.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
See you next week.